Hi guys, Thogrey here for a new video, and this video will be a tier list video for melees in 3v3 for season 2 of Shadowlands 9.1.5. Of course, it is the final tier list for this patch, and I don't think they will change anything until season 3. And I'm excited for season 3. I think it will be good. I think the meta will still be fast paced because, again, PvP was fast paced before Legion, before BFA. And I think a lot of complaints are from people that actually don't really remember about those times in Mob, Warlock, Cataclysm, where actually fast-paced PvP was actually loved and cared for. So let's start this tier list with, of course, the explanation of the tier list. So we have God tier, S tier, A tier, B tier, and C tier. Like all my other videos, God tier often than not are like 1 or 2 specs maximum, because it is actually part of the S tier, but I feel like the God tier are the classes that are above the S tier rankings. You have A tier, which is a great spec, B tier is average, and C tier is actually, I wouldn't say garbage, because I feel like no specs is truly garbage, but C tier is you're playing with a huge disadvantage because of reasons. So we're going to start this tier list with a big outlier for 3v3. I guess I got some hate, I guess, for the 2v2 melee tier list video. Because I've put arms in God tier, but I think now everyone can agree that in 3v3 arms is a God tier spec, because it has a lot of good comps, but also it has everything that a melee wants for 3v3. It has disruption, utility, defense, offense, burst, consistent damage. They can even buff allies like Retribution paladins when they are Necrolord, which makes the Retribution paladin by itself a lot better, but without an arms warrior, the Retribution paladin doesn't do a lot of damage, or at least not that much damage. So for me, it is a S tier, at least God tier spec, because it has loads of things that is going on for the warrior. It has loads of damage, loads of utility, has a permanent 20% wall, with the compensation of doing 20% less damage, but with all those multipliers and modifications that they can have as an arms warrior, you don't really feel that 20% less damage. So I still think it is a God tier spec. You can fight me on it, but I still think in 3v3, at least in 3v3, I hope you can give it to me that it is a God tier spec. Assassination Rogue. I think Assassination Rogue, for me, it is a lot more scarier in 2s than in 3s, just because you can ramp up a lot easier, and in 3s it is more about control, more about, especially for Rogue, consistent damage, but also those burst damage whenever you want. And as a Rogue, you are often the kill target, and in 3s you will actually have 2 DPSs on you, so you cannot do what an Assassination Rogue would do in 2s. So for me, it is a A tier spec. I can see why people would say S tier because of the damage, and sometimes you can get hit by a 20k venom, but I still think a few specs are above Assassination Rogues. They are a really great spec, that's why it deserves the A tier spot. A tier is nowhere near average for me, it is really a great spec. Just S tier is the meta, and I don't think Assassination Rogues are meta at this moment. In 3v3, Enhancement Shaman is a bit better than in 2v2s. I'm hesitating between B. B is quite average. I would say low A tier, because they have like a few good comps, turbo comps like Arms Warrior with a Enhancement Shaman, or a Windwalker with Enhancement Shaman. You can also pair it with a Paladin, but it gets a bit tricky whenever you can do a big damage or consistent damage. You will lack also a lot of defensives, and I feel like you will need to pair with a Windwalker or a Arms Warrior to actually alleviate all those damages that are going to go for you, and they might go for the Arms Warrior or the Windwalker if you are paired with it. Often than not, you are the kill target though. You have Doom Winds, which gives you the possibility to one-shot people, but I still think it's low A tier. I would maybe put it in B tier. I'm kind of biased because I play Enhancement Shaman. I feel like I do a lot of damage, on-demand damage. I have actually utility and good off-healing. But it is not like a paladin where you can off-heal yourself all the time. You have like a mana bar, and the mana bar, if it goes to 0, you are kind of screwed. So it is low A tier. I might change it at the end. Feral Druids, they are S tier. They have Jungle Cleave, which is one of the best comps at this moment, but you can also pair it with a fire mage, you can pair it with a paladin, you can pair it with even an arms warrior, but I still think the best comp that you can play in trees is a jungle cleave. And it is S tier. Necrolord, even Kyrian feral druids, I already saw it, is also a bit more tanky because you can then pair it with a Necrolord friend and get 16% extra versatility. But yeah, I feel like Feral is in a good spot, although in my opinion the gameplay is not that fun for Feral Druids. They are more revolved around ferocious bites than anything else. Even as Necrolord, your damage is quite good in as a dot damage, but if you want to kill people, you will do ferocious bites for 20k, 25ks. Yeah, I feel like the gameplay of Ferals should be more around bleeds and bleeding everyone out and not just only one target. Frost DK is Frost DK. I think the only problem I see with Frost DK is you can switch up the Frost DK with any other class. They are here to set up the main melee, like a Arms Warrior or a Windwalker. You could also play it with a Paladin, like Vanguards. But I don't know, man. I feel it's low A tier or maybe B tier. For now, I'm going to put it in B tier just because of the reason that it can also be switched out. And they don't really have a great spot in PvP at the moment. I don't put them in C tier because they have still damage and still the utility. But it's mostly only revolving around bursts. And okay, you can pair it with an Arms Warrior and you still will do great, but it's because you are paired with an Arms Warrior, with Spear of Bastion, you're grabbing everyone, cleave them down. The damage is quite nice, but again, it is squishy, again, it has not that much utility. It is great versus casters, but whenever you play versus a warrior that actually disarms you while you're doing pillar, you're not going to have a great time. A Fury Warrior, I'm going to put it in C tier just because the discrepancy between Arms Warrior and Fury Warrior is too big. I still think defensive stance is way too strong for Arms, and Die by the Sword is even stronger on Arms, while the Fury Warrior has Enraged Regeneration, which is good but gets countered by Priests with Mind Games. It's also countered by Dampening. I feel like Fury needs the same tools as Arms, like Die by the Sword and defensive stance, if it stays like this. But you cannot let Fury have like no defensives. I feel like it needs some help actually defensive wise, because offensively it does a lot of damage and the healing reduction is also quite nice, but still I think it's getting one-shotted here and there, and I feel like Arms Warrior is way too strong to even compare them. So that's why I put it in C tier. You still can climb as a Fury Warrior because you have comps, you have a mage, you have a healer. But then again, if you switch that Fury Warrior for an Arms Warrior, you would have the same utility, like even better damage and even more defensives. So there must be a niche to have a Fury Warrior with you, and not only the healing wise or not only the damage. You need something special for Fury to actually climb those rankings up. Havok, Demon Hunter. I will talk about Necrolord because Necrolord is the one that is the flavor of the month. I'm really close to putting in S tier, man. It is really not bad because Necrolord DH is super tanky, has super great consistent damage is quite annoying to face. And every time I'm playing casters, of course. Casters gets actually destroyed by demon hunters. I still feel bad playing against him. Like, it has so much mobility. I try to kite as much as possible, but still unkiteable. Especially in trees where they get a lot of help because of the DPS and because of the healer. So for me, it's a high A tier, maybe low S tier. Yeah, it is really strong. It is a flavor of the month. I think in season 3 it will be even stronger. But yeah, we will need to see what is going on with this class. It's really underappreciated, but I see a lot of people re-rolling DH, and DH is really at a good spot. I think in any case, everyone should be balanced around A tiers. So every S tier should be nerfed into the A tier, and every B and C tier should be buffed into the A tier, and then you have a balanced game. But I don't think in a PvP game, in a PvP setting, you can have a balanced game, because then every class can do everything, and that's not the purpose of World of Warcraft, at least. Outlaw rogues in trees. I'm tempted because I still think a rogue spec is a rogue spec. Has lots of control, has actually quite good survivability with the evasion. I think it's quite obnoxious to play versus casters as an outlaw, but versus melee you can also do great. I'm going to put it in front of Frost DK, but for me it's more of a low A tier, and now I'm thinking about enhancement if it's really A tier. But we'll think about it after this tier list, of course. So Retribution Paladin. Now there are two types of Retribution Paladin. The Retribution Paladin that is playing with a warrior, that is a Necrolord, and the Retribution Paladin that is playing with any other class. So that's quite hard to put a rating here. So I might do something. I'm going to add a new tier, S minus, S plus, A plus, because for me, Retribution Paladin, the issue is it depends about the comp. It depends about who you are facing. It depends about with who you are playing. You can play with a Hunter, which is quite nice. Cupid is really nice. You can play it with a DK, which is also very nice. But when you are playing with an Arms Warrior, your class becomes S tier. So that's why I'm putting it in S minus A plus, because it has lots of variables. I think a Retribution Paladin with an Necrolord Arms Warrior becomes S tier, even God tier. But you cannot take a class and only discuss about one comp that is actually class defining for Paladin. That's why I'm putting it in S minus A plus, because it depends about the comp you are playing with. I think if you're a Retribution Paladin, you should strive to play with an Arms Warrior, just because of the sheer buff you get with the Necrolord banner. So yeah. Subtlety rogues are S tier for me. Are they S tier? I would say it's above Assassination Rogue. I would say it's above Paladins. So I'm going to put it in front of Paladins. Again, why do I put it in S minus A plus? Because it is already a class defining comp that you can play with Rogue Mage. You can play also with a Hunter for a Tug Cleave. You can play with casters like Shadow Priest. You can do a lot of things to make your class work. But I think the best comp is Rogue Mage. I think the second best comp that you can play is with a Shadow Priest. And it's above Paladin, for sure. But I think Feral Druids are at this very moment better than Subtlety Rogues. I think I will make a lot of enemies with this tier list, but for me it is not S tier. It is a little bit below S tier, but it's really above A tier. So for me it's more of an S minus than an A plus. I would say Retribution Paladin is more of an A plus than an S minus. But I can't put more rows here, because then it's not really it doesn't have a great visibility. Survival Hunter. It is actually not as good as BM and marksmanship in trees. It can be played. It can be played with a rogue. It can be played with a paladin. It can be played with a caster. It's a tough decision because the CC that you can have is still good. You can still play jungle cleave version of this, but I think you're not gimping yourself, but you can play BM and do much more in that comp. That's why I'm putting it in A tier. It's again, A tier is not average. It is very good. I think it is below Havok, just because the strength of survival hunters in twos doesn't really translate in trees, since they can die off of everything. It still has the feign death legendary, but it's not enough. They are really squishy. They can die really fast, and they don't really have the capacities to do a lot of damage like BMs or marksmanship hunters on demand, at least. Survival hunters are really great in consistent damage. They are really great in CCing, but I feel like in trees the CC part can also be done by your friend, can also be done by your healer, can be done by anything. And I feel like survival hunters are a lot harder to pull off, since you need to go melee, like harpoon, freezing trap, or the stun, the pet stun, then freezing trap. You have lots of setups that you need to do, and in trees it's a lot harder to do as a survival hunter than as a BM hunter. That's why I'm putting it in A tier. Unholy Dk, Unholy Dk, Unholy Dk. For me, Unholy Dk is B tier. I play Unholy Dk. I even prefer Unholy Dk instead of Frost Dk. But I feel like I will make a lot of enemies by putting it in A tier. Although for me it feels like an A tier spec when I play it. There is the Death Coil spec that you can play as Unholy Dk with the big dots damage. It has insane cleave. If you pair it with a Havok Demon Hunter, the cleave damage is quite insane. I still think Frost DK is better with an Arms Warrior than with an Unholy. That's for sure. Unholy DK can also play with a Shadow Priest. You can play with lots of classes that actually make sense because of the consistent damage, because of the disease, because of the ghoul that actually does a lot of damage, because of Death Coil actually really doing a lot of damage because of the procs. But it is squishy versus melee. It is better versus casters, so that's why I'm putting it in B tier. But watch out, I think in season 3 it will be very strong, very strong. I believe it will be the season of Unholy Dk season 3 from what I've seen on the PTR, and I think they will do a lot of buffs to Unholy, to Fury Warriors, and to Enhancement Shaman. Enhancement Shaman, their tier sets are also very good. So I actually look forward to those classes. So we will see, we will see. Windwalker Monks, S tier, above Feral Druids. It is quite hard to have an idea if they are as strong or less stronger than an Arms Warrior. I still think our Windwalker Monks are really great in this meta, just because of their on-demand burst. They can be paired with pretty much any class, since they have so much utility. They have a leg sweep stun that can stun like 3 targets, which is epic. You have paralysis, you have a lot of utility that makes that you are actually in demand. Ring of Peace can really be strong on a few maps, like obnoxious strong. You can save your caster because of Ring of Peace. You are quite squishy, that's for sure. That's why if you can play with a good healer or with a good DPS that can actually peel you, you can often and not just destroy a game by yourself. You are the carry DPS with arms. Like Arms Warrior, Windwalkers, I would even say Feral Druids are really the carries of this season, especially in trees. Now let's discuss about one placement. I don't know if I'm putting Enhancement Shaman at A tier. It is quite hard actually, because I really like Enhancement Shaman. So I'm going to let Enhancement Shaman breathe on A tier, Although I feel like a lot of people would see it in B tier or even C tier. But for me, Enhancement Shaman, when you pair it with an Arms Warrior, you can really one-shot anyone. Like, anyone. Arms Warrior spears the target, he cannot run away, and then at that moment, Ascendance, Doom Winds, Bloodlust on the Arms Warrior, and then you're going to wreak havoc on the battlefield. So for me, Enhancement Shaman is really strong. So I'm putting it in A tier. Maybe I might be biased, but whatever. So this is my tier list for 3v3 9.1.5 melee season 2. Let me know what you think about this tier list in the comments below. Let me know if you liked the video. Like the video if you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel if you like those kinds of videos. I try to be educative. I'm a Warlock main, but I main a lot of classes at this moment, so I'm trying to search my real main for season 3. But I might make a video about shamans, I might make a video about arcane mages because I really enjoy it. I need to grind a little bit of more rating on arcane mages to make myself an idea of how strong it can be, although it is a lot harder to pull off. And I enjoyed those classes really much, so I'm more of a caster main, but might change in the future. So thank you for watching this video, I really appreciate it, and of course we will see each other very soon. Bye.